Hi, I'm Elizabeth Sherman, and today I'm doing an interview with Charlie and Bev Schenck. They have lived in the area their entire lives and currently live at Bluefield Manor. Charlie talks a lot about his family and friends and his memories of growing up on his family farm. Bev talks a lot about her memories of going to school in the one room schoolhouse by Morgan's Half Acre. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy my interview with Charlie and Bev Skank. Also, you will hear Pat Kimber as well joining me in the interview. Yeah. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Just do a little intro into who you are first.
Well, I grew up, and of course, we were considered a poor family. And our mothers uh, made most of our clothes. We were beginning school, and quite frankly, that caused a few problems at school because the uppy ups wanted to make fun of us. And I happened to find another boy that was in the same predicament with Dick Coke. And he was, his mother was a Jorgensen. It was Dell and Harry's sister. They were quite a large family. They were predominantly from over Penny Way. And we became lifelong friends. We had 69 years of wonderful friendship. And I still have a classmate, which is 83 years now, that lives diagonally across the hall here. And
Who is that?
Mary Ann Wayne married Carl Pierce. And she just had a little accident last week and fell, broke her leg, ankle, and her daughter was here, has been here for a few days, trying to help her. So, but it's amazing that you develop these friendships. Of course, my older brother left the nest when he was young. And my sister was the one who done all the genealogy. They had 4 big binder books in the trunk of their car after Ken retired from RCA in Boston. They took up the genealogy, and this is quite a. And I saw some arguments. See, originally, back in the early 1800s, there was 4 brothers that left New Jersey, and one of them settled in Schenckville, Pennsylvania, and I have a gut feeling that the name was changed to Shanksville, where the plane went down in 9/11. And my great-great-grandfather was John, and he settled up in Genoa, Venice area. He had a brother, and I believe it was Scott, that settled in Homer. And the fourth one was Ruloff, and they settled in Lysander. And the church over there, what is it, 104? There's, probably 60, 70 Schencks in that cemetery. But my oldest son, Steve, is married to a gal in Camillus. And her best friend was Terry Schenck from Homer. And the day that Steve and her got married, I sat in the front row at the wedding, side by side with Terry. And believe me, she has my father's nose. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
And you grew up on Schenck Road.
Yeah. That house was built in 1897. And a family in-law who was the carpenter, and he was responsible for the house on Gully Road where Rickety Bauer used to live. And our house, the house where Jake and Kurt Jordan lived, the brick house diagonally across from where we lived in on Davis Road. The old Schenck residence on I'm trying to think of the road. Where Alverson has his equipment.
Krager? Krager?
Yeah.
Or
Because their son, who was J.C. Schenck, who was a school teacher, math teacher at Union Springs School, and I had him in the middle grades. And of course, he died abruptly. Older people, they were fun. Our forefathers made an awful lot of sacrifices for all of us.
Yes.
And I gotta tell you, it was in 1956, I went to work for Steve Schofield and Schofield Hardware in Seneca Falls. And worked there for 14 years. And after I left, I made an agreement with him that I would service his equipment. And a month or so later, he called, and there was a party in Seneca Falls that needed service on a dishwasher. So I stepped over and made the repairs. And the lady asked me one night who to make the check out to. And she jumped right up and said, "You spell it Schenck?" And sure do. And her mother was a Schenck, was one of Rudolph's from Lysander. And I had done work at the Huntington garage, I don't know how long, and never knew it. Yeah, because that was Fred Huntington's wife.
Amazing.
The Chrysler Permit place there in Seneca Falls. And after that, of course, calling her younger brother, Carl, Cuz, and I started doing his work in his house in Savannah. So that's been quite interesting as far as it's a small world.
And a big family.
And I'm going to tell you, my wife and I are proud great-grandparents of 26 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
And they are all healthy. And that is a big plus.
Yes, it is.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I talked with Mrs. Stodmeyer. They had quite a long conversation. Asked her if she knew anything about the Schenck and Louis Sprint. Well, she says, no. I was 17, 18 years old, and I drove my grandmother out to a farmhouse outside of Union Spring. And I spoke up and I said, there was 3 sisters. Yes. So it was the very house that we grew up in. So, and she had a booklet on the one from Lysander, and I borrowed it, brought it to my father, and you would have thought I brought him $1 million. He was just thrilled to death. And so it's a small world.
Yes, it is.
What was it like growing up on the farm?
That
What was it like growing up on the farm?
the what?
What was it like growing up on the farm?
A lot of work. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. I have some memories. I have a scar here that my mother backed the hay wagon too far,
Oh no.
and the little finger just dangled,
Oh,
and Doc Woodford just sewed it back together. And, you know, hey, I can use it.
amazing.
And I do have a real problem with arthritis. He loves me. Milking a cow at 6 years old. And my father had a cow that was producing real well, but whenever the pail got about full, she would kick it out.
Oh no.
And my mother suggested that he let me try milking the cow. Because I was proud as a peacock. See? And I sat down and that cow would not lift a foot. No, they understand, youth. I don't care what people say. They can call them dumb animals all they want, but in a lot of ways, they're smarter than us.
Yes, they sure are.
So, but we've had a good life, but my dad had a garden, which probably was close to 3 acres. And believe me, I hated carrots, beets, all of that stuff, because when I was like 10, 11 years old, I was given the job of weeding this many rows. And, but since I've gotten over here, I've kind of liked carrots. But a lot of hard work, and I might mention that during World War II, we were busy picking all the milkweed we could find for the insulation in the troops' jackets and stuff. Yeah, and I have here a coupon book during World War II. And you can take that as part of the display or whatever.
Well, thank you.
Oh,
I love this.
Yeah, all kinds of things. Sugar, of course, gasoline, oil. Oh, you had to have the coupons and stuff.
how did you use these?
Hmm?
How did you use these?
Well, when you bought stuff, you had to put so many towards the purchase, depending on the price. But believe me, people back then had to conserve, for the betterment of the country.
Yes.
So, but, and we ended up with fighting 2 wars, And, but a lot of these young people have no knowledge of what it was like back then. None. And the work was from sun up to sundown. And we did not have electricity till the mid 40s. So the water was hand pumped, and I got to tell you that my dad had a potato bin in the basement. And when I was 10 or 11, that was part of the chores. You had to get the potatoes and peel them. See? And that was in the basement. And of course, I hated those little ones. They were tough to peel. I don't know which one of us, but one of us got the idea that, we weren't going to kill those little dead animals. They went right in the cistern. And after a while, of course, the water got smelly. And we not only got our butts blistered, but we had to physically, remove the water out of that cistern, wash it all down, paint the inside of it, and, I can laugh now, but boy, I'll tell you, there were a lot of fun times that we had. My wife, my mother's side of the family were quite close with the Whites. Homer White, Clifford White, Stanley White, and of course, my mother became a school teacher because of the trouble that her youngest brother was getting in. Oh, here was a kid that was actually stealing chickens from his own mother and father to get spending money. So, but he ended up on good terms. But, a lot of us go through a lot of turmoil times. But
She taught in a one-room schoolhouse, didn't she? Your mother?
Yep,
oh yeah, the one
I was
up
too.
at Baptist Corners. You know where the Baptist church is?
In Scipio?
Up number one.
Yeah.
The church was just south of where the church is. Sat up on that bank, and of course it's gone. But and I've got to share it with you. When she was there, she had the Dean girls. Now the Dean girls, one of them was Bernice Schofield. And those girls lived in where Jane Bowen lives now. That was the Dean house. And they were so poor that my mother would take bread and sugar, butter, jam, whatever, and give them sandwiches for lunch. And later in years, when Bernice became Mrs. God Almighty, and she was quite tough on people's bills for the hard work, because she'd be home working on the bills the first 3 days of the month. And she'd write these nasty little notes, These people would come into that store with blood in their eyes, And, and
What store was that?
the Schofield Hardware in Seneca Falls. And that's where I worked 14 years.
Okay.
And one of the first jobs I had uh, was putting eaves on a big 6-bedroom house. And the son of that owner has just moved in here the last 2-3 weeks.
It's something.
We had dinner with him the other night, just talking about, 100 State Street. That was where it was, And his father was the officer of State Bank. So there's a lot of strange things happen in life. You keep your eyes open. And every week we get a newsletter, and his name was on it. See? And of course it jumped right out at me. But he was in school, see, when I was. And
it sounded like you had everything you needed on the farm.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever go into town?
Did I what?
Ever go into town? Or why would you have gone into town?
Well, the farm wasn't big enough for 2 families.
Ah.
And so I tried to strike a deal with my father, and really couldn't, but he regretted it later.
Mm-hmm.
But hindsight 2020, But it's unfortunate, but I had a beautiful wife to support. And one of the things that I would like to ask you in return is a copy of Norma's genealogy, because her grandfather and Norma's mother were brother and sister.
There is an Anthony family binder in Norma's collection.
Okay.
Which I would be glad to copy for you.
Okay. I'd appreciate it. And she has one nephew, which supposedly is a splitting image of her grandfather.
Oh.
So, and it's nice to know. I surmise that that's what Anthony Street was named after, but never knew.
I think so, and also that Anthony that had a farm on Center Street, just past Anthony Street.
Yeah, that was Cliff.
That was an Underground Railroad site at one time too.
That was what?
An Underground
Oh,
Railroad
yeah,
site.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's what we've heard.
Yeah. There's a lot more of that went on than what we know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this was because of the different factions, religious, color, whatever. People didn't get along like we should have.
Mm-hmm.
But
Now you said you got electricity in the 40s?
yeah, mid-40s.
Mid-40s.
I think my sister was probably a junior in high school.
How did you power your, I assume you had an ice box?
Well, gasoline engine.
Oh, and the farm equipment was all gasoline?
Oh, yeah.
So you didn't use horses? You didn't use horses?
There were 9 horses on the farm.
Okay.
everything was horse drawn, you know. And the day that my dad got the first tractor, which was a steel wheel, somewhere amongst our collection, I'm sure that my mother had a picture of my brother Dan and I sitting in a cart being towed behind that steel wheel tractor by my dad, see.
Uh-huh.
And that was one of her pride and glories. And the day that the tractor came, 5 of the horses went down the road. He scaled back, on horses.
No, didn't need as many.
Hmm?
He didn't need as many.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the tractor.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, and my brother Roy actually got ran over by a farm roller, that rolls, that was horse drawn, see? The horses ran away on him, and he fell down, and the roller went over him. And he was in tough shape for the better part of a year. So, yeah. So, the old time farm accidents,
Yes.
and a lot of it is carelessness. And I got to tell you, when those horses ran away and my brother, my dad immediately took the horses up to Ray Bauer, which would be Bob Bauer's great grandfather. But and Rickety put the horses on a wagon. We were riding on it, because the curiosity, see what happens. He put harnesses with big blinders, and he went down into this field, and there was a big hickory tree, and he started circling that. It kept getting closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden he pulled on the line, pulled that horse right into that tree, and yelled, "Whoa," just before he hit. Okay? And that horse went right on its knees.
Mm-hmm.
But all my dad had to do was say, "Whoa," and he stopped after that. We had a lot of hard work. Yes. And it was, like I say, from daylight to dark. Mm-hmm. And our first few years of school, of course, was kerosene lights. And that's how you done your studying. Wasn't easy.
No.
And the heating system was pretty much all wood. And you had basically 2 registers in the house, right in the center of not in the center, in one corner of the dining room, and the one right above it, see? And of course, mornings it was a race to see who could get to own that register for. The glass of water would actually freeze in our bedroom.
Oh.
So we had That's why you needed 2, 3 blankets. Yeah. Oh,
How did you get to school?
bus. See, I never went to the one-room schoolhouse. My first year was at the school on Kilga Street.
Now, was that the old school?
No, the new school.
The new school.
New school.
Okay.
And Mary Ann over here was in that class, you know. And that's, 83, 84 years ago. This month, or last month, September. And of course, she lost her father, I think, when she was in 5th or 6th grade. The Wayne family. Yeah. But real nice family. So, yeah. But she's in tough shape right now. She fell and broke a leg and an ankle. This old age isn't for sissies. So, but you give it some thought on that disc, and because I'll call my grandson and have him mail it to me.
That would be wonderful.
Okay,
Be
because
nice.
there are some things in it that are not in this. See, I've got the genealogy and the other families, but I sorted out the ones for just the Schenck.
Great.
Well, thank you very much for
Okay,
agreeing to do the interview.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Anything that we can help with to help the museum.
You've always been there.
Yes. So thank you.
Okay?
Corner there were like where Morgan's is now. There was a Guernsey, what do you want to call it? Dairy. And there'd be 2 of us that would get the job of going and getting water down to the corner, like where Morgan's is now, and then walk back with the pails to the school, and then they'd lots of times have soup right off of the stove they have. We had 8? There was 8 of us, I think, at the most. I think that's when it closed, because when I left down there, because June was older than I was, so she left first and then I left. And then we'd have different substitute teachers, and the parents would bring the kids to school, and they'd also give transportation to the teachers. Yeah, it was quite a
What grades
bunch of them.
were all in the same room?
Let's see, where did there was some kindergarten, and then mostly first, and then what was it, 5? No,
You started at the spring, what, 6th grade?
it was 5. I think I was 5. 5th grade. Myers. I had Mrs. Myers.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at the high school. Wow, that's where they had everybody was in the one school, right? Yeah. So, but no, we had a fun time. They had like a hedge out back. You'd go out there and play around and go outdoors in the summertime, go outdoors in the wintertime, and it wasn't like it is nowadays.
And it was one teacher.
One teacher. Yeah. And then she had like a person had above her, what they call her, superintendent, I think, if I remember. But yeah, we had chalk boards. It was fun, really.
You must have learned from the other grades.
They did. They kind of all mingled, and they all did all right. They had good teachers, though, or it seemed like they were good. They did a lot with the kids. They were, they even had an outhouse that they had to take care of. They didn't take care of the teachers or superintendent, but that's what they had. So how would the kids like that today?
How about heat?
I wouldn't even like it. Well, they had one big thing in the center of the room of the place, and that was mainly it. And then they had spot ones, little ones, in different areas that bothered. It was a little bit colder than whatever, and they had windows, more windows towards the south, I think. So, but it was, was good. And Sue Rayford had it for a while. I think she bought it, or maybe, I know it was Rayford's. And then they sold it, and a Salado bought it. And I don't know, somebody's still living in it now. So I don't know who they are. I knew the Salado that bought it, but I don't know who's there now, so.
Where did you grow up?
What's the name of the road? Sevier Road. How else do you describe it?
Her older brother Fred lives there now.
Oh,
He was born in one room, and he wants to die in the same room.
this is hard.
But what was there, 4 of us?
Yep.
2 boys and 2 girls? No. Well,
Well-
it had to be.
We had been here for a few months, and they provide dinner at 5:30 every night, other Sundays 12:45. But this lady came in and joined us, and probably a week and a half, 2 weeks went by, and she nonchalantly mentioned that she graduated from Union Spring. What? Well, it's Sprague Wheeler's sister.
Never know who you're going to run into.
And of course, I knew Sprague's family well, But, and her best friend, when she was little, and my sister's best friend was Phyllis Petherbridge. The one that was killed by a horse. And, it's amazing things that come out. But,
It was very sad.
and we, every now and then, somebody else moves in that, yeah, I know him.
Yeah, the house where we grew up, still there. My brother lives in it. He was born in it. And then he went to work and was driving truck. But they still live there. So they owned it until, Marge, my brother's wife, is passed on. But Fred's still here. but he's at the Commons right now having rehab, so. Yep, but it's nice. I mean, that house is still there. And it's very livable, you know.
It's nice it's still in the family.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That somebody, you know, still got it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's probably going to end.
Yeah. You never know.
You never know, but none of them are interested right now.
No. They may be later on.
Oh, they might
Yeah.
be. Everything's, you know.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, we all got along pretty well.
I can't
My-
imagine being in a one-room schoolhouse, though.
Isn't that something?
All the different
I know.
things that had to be taught, and you must have been in kindergarten, but I bet you learned what the second grade was learning,
Right.
and you must
You
have,
did. You popped around.
yeah.
And the teachers were pretty good too.
And how flexible the teachers had to have been.
Especially when they'd bring us soup and heat it on the stove. That was really good.
Unheard of today.
Yeah.
But trying to think what else if it was.
Well, you know.
We used to have to come in from outdoors from playing in the snow and drape our coats and that over the different stoves that they had out. Because of the snow, you're all wet. So they put them on the stove.
You know, when I was a kid, I think that bath time was a enamel cup in the middle of the kitchen floor,
That's not pleasant.
and you hot water and pushed it in,
No, that's
and
certainly
told
not bad.
everybody out. I'm bathing.
Was the water used by your brother or your anybody else in the family?
Well, hey, you had to take turns.
Yes, it did.
We had the same thing in our house growing up every Saturday night. Out in the kitchen someplace, there was a tub that we filled up.
Whether you needed it or not.
Well, we always needed it. We always got it whether we wanted it or not. But yeah,
And you see, 45, 46 is the year that the school expanded. And all the boys from Fleming came down, you know, the Kondratic boys, Stagnovich, Novak, the Hares boys, Bill, and because they were in a one-room schoolhouse up at the Bend, or I'm trying to think of the name of the road. Just down the road from E and B, you know, on the opposite side of the road.
Okay.
And Millie Spring was the teacher there.
Oh, Millie Lewis.
Yeah.
Miss Spring.
Yeah.
isn't she something else though?
103.
Yeah. Boy,
Oh, yeah.
Sally DeRemus had
Miss Spring.
Miss Spring as her teacher
Did
for
she?
1 year. Yeah.
But that was the year that the population of the school really expanded because, you know, a lot of the Kyoga kids, Fleming, you know, all came in. And the numbers went.
Wow. Something.
my mother and father bought the house and bought the farm rather. For what did I tell you? Like, wasn't very much money. 2,300 or something like that. And yet my father, he worked in 3 grocery stores because he was like farming it and that. But then he went to he always wanted to be on the railroad, and he ended up being on Lehigh. He had 15 years there, I think. Yep. And he had snow way up to us, up here one night, because they could only get so far in the road. And he walked the rest of the way.